They called for saviors, but Earth sent its monsters. Request immediate aid. All allies required. It repeated over and over, carrying a tone of desperation that could not be ignored. On Earth, the news spread quickly. The Galactic Council had called, expecting humans to send trained diplomats, soldiers, maybe some peacekeepers. But Earth had different plans. While other planets sent polished fleets and rigid soldiers, humans sent a team that many called monsters. People whispered about them. They were not the usual kind of heroes. They were unpredictable, wild, dangerous, but they were the ones who could survive when nothing else could. Luke Carson stood at the edge of a landing bay, his leather jacket catching the dim light. He was tall and strong, with sharp eyes that had seen more danger than most could imagine. People called him reckless. He called it smart. He had been a test pilot, pushing Earth's experimental ships to the limits. He had survived crashes that would have killed anyone else. He was the first to volunteer for the mission. "You sure this is safe?" asked Hannah Miller, adjusting the metal bands around her arms. She was a biochemist, a genius with a mind for danger. Her experiments had saved lives, but sometimes she looked more like a walking lab than a soldier. Her hands had faint scars from lab accidents, and small implants in her arms glowed softly as she checked her equipment. Luke grinned. "Safe is boring, dangerous is fun." Hannah shook her head, smiling despite herself. "I don't know how anyone can call us normal." "You're not normal. Good thing, too," said Ethan Brooks, leaning casually against a crate. He had the kind of calm that came from years in survival situations. He had been in deserts, jungles, and mountains. If a place was dangerous, Ethan had probably lived there and come back stronger. He carried a large pack of supplies and a rifle that looked like it had been modified a dozen times. Normal doesn't survive Corinthia. Clara Young stood slightly apart, her hands folded. She was quiet, almost invisible except for the faint shimmer around her fingers. She had telekinetic powers, though no one fully understood how far they could go. Some called her gift unnatural. She preferred the word advantage. Her long hair fell straight down her back, and her eyes seemed to see more than just the present. The ship that would take them to Corinthia, the Odyssey, looked old and battered compared to the gleaming vessels of the Galactic Council. It had scratches, patched armor, and engines that rattled when they started, but it flew, and that was enough. "Council will not like this," Luke muttered as he and his team climbed aboard. "They never do," Ethan said, loading his rifle, "but we're going anyway." The Odyssey lifted off quietly. Earth's planet faded below them, blue and calm, while the blackness of space stretched ahead. The journey to Corinthia was long, but the humans were ready. They were not the polished soldiers the Council had expected, but they had something no one else did: creativity, courage, and a refusal to die quietly. Days passed in silence, broken only by the soft hum of the engines and occasional chatter between the team. Hannah ran tests on the ship's systems and experimented with ways to boost their shields. Ethan trained in zero gravity, practicing maneuvers that would give him an edge on Corinthia's surface. Luke ran simulations, testing possible attack routes and daring rescues. Clara meditated, focusing her mind, preparing for the moment when her powers would be needed most. Finally, Corinthia appeared on the ship's sensors. The planet was beautiful from space, with vast oceans and green lands, but the beauty was shattered by fire. Cities glowed red and smoke rose in thick columns. The alien coalition had not held back. The team fell silent as they watched the devastation. "They're worse than we thought," Hannah said, her voice tight. She adjusted her implants, preparing for what lay ahead. "Worse, maybe." "But not invincible," Luke said. His voice was calm, but his mind raced. He could already see the lines of attack, the weak points in the alien forces. Ethan's jaw tightened. "They've got numbers, but we've got brains, and we don't care about rules." Clara stepped forward, her eyes focused. She could feel the energy of the planet, the fear and the chaos. "We need to be careful, but we can help. We just have to move fast." The ship descended into Corinthia's atmosphere. The team braced themselves as the Odyssey shook violently, heat flaring on the hull from friction. Cities were in ruins, buildings were toppled, smoke covered the horizon. From orbit, it looked like the planet itself was bleeding. The humans landed in a small clearing outside the city of Virales, the capital. Alien patrols moved in organized formations, firing weapons that sent waves of energy into the ground. Civilians ran, screaming, hiding where they could. The team stepped off the ship, weapons ready, hearts steady. "Time to show them what humans can do," Luke said, gripping his rifle. The first battle was chaos. Luke led the charge, using the terrain to his advantage. Alien forces were strong and well-trained, but they did not expect humans to act so unpredictably. Luke jumped from a rooftop, landing behind enemy lines, and took out a squad with precision and speed. Hannah worked from the shadows, deploying devices that disrupted alien shields. Sparks flew and alien weapons malfunctioned, giving civilians a chance to escape. Her enhancements glowed brightly as she pushed the devices to their limits, feeling the strain on her body. Ethan used traps and improvisation, luring aliens into narrow streets where their numbers counted for nothing. He moved like a shadow, striking quickly, vanishing before the enemy could react. The aliens started to fear the humans. They could not predict them, could not control them. Clara stayed behind, focusing her powers. She lifted debris, turning fallen buildings into barriers and weapons. She pulled energy from the ground, redirecting it to protect civilians and the team. Her powers were raw and strong, frightening even the aliens. But she kept her control, guiding the humans with precision. By the end of the day, the humans had saved hundreds of lives. Corinthian leaders who had first looked on with fear and distrust watched as these so-called monsters fought with courage, intelligence, and raw skill. "You are different from what we expected," said a Corinthian commander. His voice was trembling, a mix of awe and disbelief. Luke smiled, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Different is good. You needed help and we're here. That's all that matters." As the sun set on the ruined city, the team regrouped. The battle was won, but the war was far from over. Aliens still controlled much of the planet, and the humans had only shown what a small, clever group could do. Hannah checked her equipment, exhausted. "We've made a start, but they'll come back stronger." "They always do," Ethan said, loading his weapon. "Good thing we like impossible odds." Clara looked at the city below, feeling the fear and hope of its people. "We have to keep moving. We can't let them fall again." Luke nodded, looking at his team. They were tired but alive, injured but strong, scared but brave. "Then let's do what humans do best. Survive, adapt, fight back, and win." The night fell over Corinthia. Fires burned, but a small light of hope remained. The humans had arrived, and they were unlike anything the galaxy had seen. The monsters from Earth had come, not polished, not polite, but unstoppable in their own way. And the people of Corinthia would soon learn that when humans fought, they fought like no one else. As they prepared for the next wave of attacks, the team did not speak much. Words were not needed. Their actions would speak louder than any council or law. The humans were here. They were wild. They were dangerous. And they were the saviors Corinthia never expected, but desperately needed. And somewhere in the shadows of the ruined city, the alien coalition watched. Their confidence was shaken. The humans had arrived, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again. The stars twinkled above, silent witnesses to the chaos below. Earth's monsters had stepped into the battlefield, and nothing would ever be the same. The humans had saved the civilians, but Corinthia was far from safe. Fires burned in the distance, smoke darkened the sky, and the alien forces were regrouping. Luke Carson, Hannah Miller, Ethan Brooks, and Clara Young stood on a ruined street looking at the chaos around them. Their clothes were torn, their hands were scratched, but their eyes burned with determination. "They'll come back," Ethan said quietly, scanning the skyline. He could see the faint glow of alien patrols moving into position. "And they'll be stronger," Luke nodded, gripping his rifle tightly. "Then we have to be faster, smarter, and louder. Let them see us coming before it's too late for them." Clara moved closer to the civilians. Her hands glowed faintly as she lifted small pieces of debris that could be used to block or protect streets. "We need to make sure they have safe places to go," she said. "If the people die, we lose more than just a fight. We lose hope." Hannah crouched beside a small generator, tapping into it with her implants. Sparks flew as she ran calculations, rerouting power to shields and weapons. "I can give us a little extra edge," she said, "but I'll need to stay exposed for a while. They'll see me." Luke's jaw tightened. "We've all been exposed. That's what makes us human. We don't hide, we fight." The team moved through the streets, keeping low but moving fast. Civilians followed when they could, trusting the humans even though they seemed strange and dangerous. The Corinthians were starting to understand that Earth's so-called monsters did not fight like other aliens. They were unpredictable. They were creative. They were terrifying to their enemies. The first patrol came into view, a group of armored aliens with energy rifles. They moved in formation, confident that nothing could stop them. Luke stepped forward. "Here we go," he muttered. He jumped from behind cover and fired, striking two aliens before they even realized what was happening. He moved like water, flowing around them, dodging blasts, and taking out another with a perfect throw of his weapon. Ethan used the confusion to his advantage. He set traps along the street, small devices that emitted high-pitched sounds, blinding and disorienting the aliens. When the enemies stumbled, he struck quickly, taking them down one by one. His movements were precise, almost like a dance, but deadly. Hannah worked from a small rooftop, her implants glowing brighter as she activated a shield generator. Aliens fired blindly, their weapons bouncing harmlessly off the energy barrier. Sparks and smoke rose, and a few of the soldiers tried to retreat, but Hannah was ready. With a quick hack of their targeting systems, she made their own weapons turn on them. Aliens fell in chaos, unable to understand what had happened. Clara focused her telekinesis, lifting rubble and throwing it at incoming forces. She could feel the fear of the aliens as they realized they were not just fighting humans. They were fighting something they did not understand. Buildings moved slightly as she manipulated the debris, turning broken walls into shields and weapons. Her powers were strong but controlled. Every move was precise, saving civilians while stopping enemies. When the battle ended, the streets were littered with unconscious aliens and scattered weapons. Civilians emerged from hiding, looking at the humans in awe. They had seen monsters, yes, but also saviors. One elder stepped forward, his face lined with worry and hope. You fight like no one we have ever known," he said. "You are not like the soldiers we imagined. You are something else." Luke smiled, wiping sweat from his forehead. "We fight to survive, and to protect, that's all that matters." The team did not stay long. The aliens would return, and they needed to keep moving. Luke led them to a safer area of the city, where fewer fires burned and the civilians could gather. Here, they set up a temporary base, using debris and abandoned buildings to create cover. Hannah ran new tests on the generator, her eyes glowing faintly from the implants. "I can keep our shields active longer now," she said. "It's risky, but it should give us time to plan." Clara nodded. "We'll need every second. They will regroup, and they will come prepared." Ethan checked the traps and improvised weapons they had gathered. "Then we make sure they don't get far. Let them learn that humans are not easy targets." Luke looked at his team, proud of what they had done. "We're not here to follow rules. We're here to win. And humans know how to survive." Night fell and the city became eerily quiet. The humans took turns keeping watch, their senses alert. Every shadow could hide danger. Every sound could be a warning, but they were ready. They had faced impossible odds before, and they would do it again. Suddenly, the sky lit up. Alien ships hovered above the city, casting harsh light on the streets below. The humans tensed, ready for the attack. But this time, the aliens were not alone. Other Corinthian forces arrived, rallying behind the humans. They had seen what the humans could do, and they were inspired. Luke grinned. "Looks like we've got backup. Let's show them how humans fight." The battle that followed was unlike anything Corinthia had ever seen. Luke led daring attacks, jumping from building to building, striking at alien patrols and taking down heavy weapons. His skill was unmatched, and even the Corinthian soldiers began to follow his lead. Hannah hacked alien systems, turning their own defenses against them. Every time the aliens tried to regroup, her technology disrupted their plans. Sparks and fire filled the air, but she worked with calm precision, even as exhaustion crept into her body. Ethan moved silently, striking from shadows, luring enemies into traps and disappearing before they could respond. He was a ghost on the battlefield, unstoppable and relentless. Clara used her telekinesis to protect the civilians, move obstacles, and turn the tide of the fight. She lifted heavy debris, redirecting attacks and blocking alien weapons. Her powers had grown stronger with practice, and she controlled them with a precision that amazed even the humans themselves. By dawn, the aliens were in retreat. The humans and Corinthian soldiers had forced them back, winning the first major victory for the planet. Civilians cheered, though many were still terrified. They had seen monsters, yes, but monsters who saved them. The team gathered in their temporary base, exhausted but alive. Luke looked at his companions. "We've done well," he said, "but this is just the beginning. The aliens will be back stronger, and we have to be ready." Hannah leaned against a wall, breathing heavily. "We can handle them, but we need better plans." They're organized but not smart. We can outthink them. Ethan nodded. And we're humans, we improvise, we survive, that's our advantage. Clara looked out at the city, watching the people start to rebuild, even as the fires still burned in some areas. We give them hope. That is what humans can do. Even when the odds are against us, we keep fighting. Luke smiled, feeling the weight of responsibility, but also the thrill of the challenge. Then let's get ready. The next fight is coming and we'll be ready for it. Humans don't give up. Humans don't run, humans fight, and we fight to win. As the sun rose over the ruined city, the humans prepared for the battles ahead. They were tired, they were wounded, but they were alive. And they were proving to the galaxy that Earth did not send diplomats or soldiers this time. Earth sent its monsters, and the monsters were more than anyone could have imagined. The alien forces would return. They would bring more troops, more weapons, more fire. But the humans had already changed the battle. They had shown that rules could be bent, that courage could be wild, and that survival was more than just following orders. Luke looked at the horizon. We're not just here to fight. We're here to show them what humans are capable of, and when we're done, the galaxy will never look at us the same way again. Hannah, Ethan, and Clara nodded. Together, they had saved lives, proven their strength, and begun a war that would not be forgotten. The humans were monsters, yes, but they were monsters who fought with intelligence, courage, and heart. And Corinthia had just begun to see the true power of Earth's monsters. The humans had won their first battle, but Corinthia was far from safe. The alien coalition was regrouping, their numbers larger than before. Luke Carson, Hannah Miller, Ethan Brooks, and Clara Young prepared themselves for the next fight. They had learned that winning one battle was not enough. They needed to change the way the aliens saw humans. Luke looked at the city from a hill. Smoke rose from broken buildings and distant explosions still shook the ground. They think they can stop us with numbers, he said quietly. But humans don't fight like that. We improvise. Ethan nodded, checking his weapons. We're going to hit them where it hurts, confuse them, scare them, and make them run. That's how humans win. Clara moved her hands slightly, lifting small stones and dust into the air as she tested her concentration. We also need to protect the civilians. If they are safe, they will help us. Fear is dangerous, but hope is stronger. Hannah adjusted her implants, making sure the shield generators were ready. I've got something new. It will give us an edge in combat. We can turn their weapons against them, but it will drain me fast. Luke smiled. Then we use it at the right moment. Humans don't wait for things to be perfect. We make them perfect. The humans split into small groups, moving through the city with care. Luke and Ethan took one side, setting traps and ambushing alien patrols. Hannah and Clara stayed in the center, running her devices and using telekinesis to protect civilians. The plan was simple. Strike fast, confuse the aliens, and hit them where it would hurt the most. The first patrol came into view. Alien soldiers moved in formation, confident that they could push humans back. Luke stepped forward and fired his weapon, hitting one alien before it could react. Ethan moved through the shadows, taking down two more with silent precision. The aliens were confused. Their formation broke. Hannah activated her device. A pulse of energy shot out, disabling alien weapons for a few critical seconds. Sparks flew as weapons malfunctioned and the aliens panicked. Clara lifted a pile of rubble with her telekinesis and threw it at a group of advancing soldiers. They fell back, unable to understand what was happening. Civilians ran behind the humans, guided to safety. They saw monsters, yes, but also heroes. The humans fought differently from anything they had ever known. They were unpredictable, creative, and fearless. As the first wave fell, Luke realized the aliens were retreating, but not for long. They're going to come back with more, he said. We need a plan that will hit them harder next time. Ethan smiled. Then we give them a surprise they won't forget. Luke, Ethan, Hannah, and Clara gathered near the city center to plan their next strike. They needed to hit the alien command center, a tall spire surrounded by strong defenses. If they could destroy it, the alien forces would lose coordination. But it would not be easy. The command center was heavily guarded, and the aliens expected humans to follow the rules. Humans did not follow rules. Luke leaned over a holographic map, pointing at weak points. We go in from three sides. We distract their forces, create chaos, and hit the core at the same time. Hannah tapped her implants, analyzing alien patterns. I can disrupt their shields for exactly 15 seconds. That's when we strike, but we need to be ready to move fast. Clara closed her eyes, feeling the energy around the spire. I can lift debris and block their attacks. I can protect us long enough for you to get to the core. Ethan checked his traps and explosives. I can make sure no reinforcements reach them. It's risky, but it will work. Luke nodded. Then we do it. Humans don't wait for permission. We make things happen. Night fell over Corinthia as the humans moved toward the spire. The city was quiet, but the tension was thick. Every shadow could hide enemies. Every sound could be a warning. Luke led the way, moving silently but quickly. Ethan followed, checking the streets for traps and ambush points. Hannah and Clara stayed behind slightly, preparing their devices and powers for the critical moment. The first alien guards spotted them. Luke and Ethan attacked immediately, taking down 2 squads before alarms could sound. Hannah activated her device, disabling weapons and shields in the area. Sparks and smoke rose, confusing the aliens. Clara lifted rubble and debris, throwing it at reinforcements and blocking their paths. The humans moved like shadows, striking where the aliens were weakest. Their unpredictability shocked the enemy. Aliens fell back, unable to understand what was happening. The command center was close, but the defenses were still strong. Luke glanced at his team. Ready? Always, Ethan said, moving forward. Hannah activated her device, and a pulse of energy disabled the remaining shields around the command spire. Clara used her telekinesis to block the guards' line of fire. Luke and Ethan ran straight into the core, dodging energy blasts and taking down soldiers with skill and speed. Inside the command center, alarms blared. Alien leaders shouted orders, but the humans were already inside. Luke fired his weapon, taking out the main console. Ethan planted explosives, setting timers for the final strike. Hannah monitored the systems, making sure the pulse would hold long enough. Clara lifted debris to block any reinforcements from reaching them. Seconds felt like hours. The aliens tried to fight back, but the humans moved faster, smarter, and wilder than they could handle. Finally, the explosives went off. A wave of energy shook the spire. The command center collapsed, sending a shockwave through the city. Alien soldiers lost coordination and fell into chaos. Outside, civilians cheered as they saw the destruction. The humans had struck the heart of the alien forces and won. Corinthia had hope again. Luke, Hannah, Ethan, and Clara regrouped, bruised and tired but alive. We did it, Luke said, looking at the burning spire. But this is just the start. They'll come back. Ethan grinned. Then we'll be ready. Humans never stop. We improvise, we fight, and we survive. Clara looked at the civilians who had gathered. They needed hope. We gave it to them. That is what humans do. We fight not just for ourselves, but for others. Hannah wiped sweat from her forehead. And we fight differently. That is our strength. They call us monsters, but monsters can win battles that armies cannot. The humans spent the night preparing for the next attack. They set traps, reinforced defenses, and made plans for future strikes. Each of them knew the aliens would return stronger, but they were ready. Humans were not ordinary soldiers. They were wild, unpredictable, and unstoppable. The next morning, scouts reported alien reinforcements approaching. Luke smiled. Perfect. Let them come. Humans don't wait for the perfect moment. We make our own. Ethan checked his weapons. Let's give them a surprise they won't forget. Hannah monitored her devices, ready to disrupt alien technology. Clara focused her powers, lifting debris and preparing to defend the city. When the aliens attacked, the humans were ready. Luke led daring raids, striking from unexpected angles. Ethan set traps and lured enemies into ambushes. Hannah disrupted shields and weapons, turning their own technology against them. Clara protected civilians and blocked attacks with precise telekinesis. The aliens were shocked. They had faced soldiers before, but never like this. Humans did not follow rules. Humans did not fight like anyone else. Humans were monsters, and monsters could win. By the end of the battle, the aliens were retreating again. The humans had forced them back and protected the city. Civilians cheered, finally understanding that these monsters from Earth were not to be feared. They were saviors. Luke looked at his team. We've won another day, but the war is not over. They will come back. And we will be ready. Hannah nodded. We have the edge. We know their patterns. We can outthink them. Ethan smiled. And we don't follow rules. That is our greatest strength. Clara looked at the civilians, seeing hope in their eyes. We fight for them. That is why humans are different. That is why humans survive. Luke smiled, feeling the weight of responsibility, but also the thrill of the challenge. Then let's keep fighting. Humans never give up. Humans never run, humans win. As the sun rose over the city, the humans prepared for the battles ahead. They were tired, wounded, but alive. They had shown Corinthia that Earth did not send soldiers or diplomats, they sent monsters. Monsters who fought with courage, creativity, and heart. The alien coalition would return. They would bring more troops, more weapons, more fire. But the humans had already changed the game. They had proven that unpredictability, courage, and intelligence could overcome even the most powerful enemy. Luke looked at his team. We're not just fighting to survive. We're fighting to show the galaxy what humans are capable of, and they will never forget it. Hannah, Ethan, and Clara nodded. Together, they had won battles, saved lives, and begun a war that would be remembered for generations. Humans were monsters, yes, but they were monsters who fought with heart, skill, and courage. And Corinthia had begun to see the true strength of Earth's monsters. The humans had won 2 battles, but Corinthia was still not safe. The alien coalition had retreated, but they were reorganizing. Luke Carson, Hannah Miller, Ethan Brooks, and Clara Young knew that the next fight would be harder. They needed more than courage, they needed strategy. Luke paced in their temporary base, looking at maps and holograms. They're strong, but they're not smart. We can use that. We just need to find their weaknesses. Ethan leaned back, checking his weapons. And hit them where it hurts. They expect normal tactics. We're not normal. Hannah studied the alien devices she had collected. They are using technology we've never seen before, but I think I can hack it. I just need time and quiet. Clara closed her eyes, feeling the energy of the planet. I can sense where their main forces are gathering. They are planning something bigger. We have to stop them before it's too late. The team moved cautiously through the city. Civilians had begun to trust them, following the humans and hiding behind them when danger approached. Luke led the way, always watching for ambushes. Ethan moved through shadows, setting traps for the aliens. Hannah monitored alien signals, ready to disrupt them. Clara prepared to protect both humans and civilians with her telekinesis. Scouts returned with shocking news. The alien coalition was not acting alone. A faction within the Galactic Council had secretly supplied weapons and soldiers to the enemy. Luke frowned. So they've been cheating. No wonder the first attacks were so strong. Hannah's eyes widened. That explains why their technology seems ahead of us, but if we expose this, the Council will have trouble, and maybe we can turn it to our advantage. Ethan grinned. Then we hit them where it hurts. We expose their lies and win the war at the same time. Clara nodded. But we need a plan. One mistake and civilians die. We can't afford that. They decided to attack the alien weapons factory hidden in the mountains outside the city. Destroying it would slow down enemy forces and reveal the Council's betrayal. The journey to the mountains was dangerous. Alien patrols roamed the roads, and the terrain was rough and unforgiving. Luke led the team through narrow paths, using his experience as a pilot and survivalist to navigate safely. Ethan set traps along the way, making sure the aliens could not follow them easily. Hannah monitored alien signals, giving warnings whenever patrols approached. Clara used her powers to clear debris and protect the team from falling rocks. Finally, they reached the factory. It was massive, with guards, automated defenses, and walls of energy shielding the complex. Luke studied it carefully. We can't storm this place. Too many traps. We have to be smart. Hannah nodded. I can hack into their systems. I can disable the shields for a short time, maybe long enough for us to plant explosives inside. Ethan checked their supplies. Then we do it fast. We get in, plant the explosives, and get out before they know what happened. Clara focused, feeling the movement of energy around the factory. I can shield us during the escape, but we have to move as one. Night fell. The humans approached the factory silently. Guards patrolled the perimeter, unaware of the danger heading toward them. Luke took the lead, moving like a shadow, while Ethan disabled traps and took out isolated guards. Hannah tapped into the factory systems, sending small pulses to confuse the sensors. Clara moved debris and blocked paths, guiding the humans safely inside. Once inside, they faced more challenges. The factory was full of alien soldiers, automated defenses, and complex machinery. Luke led the way, firing his weapon with precision, taking out enemies as they appeared. Ethan moved through shadows, setting traps and eliminating guards quietly. Hannah continued to disrupt the systems, making shields and weapons fail at the right moments. Clara used her telekinesis to protect the team, lifting heavy objects and throwing them to block attacks. They reached the core of the factory. Explosives were planted quickly. Hannah activated a final pulse to disable the defenses while the team escaped. Alarms blared as the aliens realized what was happening. Luke grabbed the others and ran toward the exit. Clara lifted a wall of debris to block pursuing soldiers. Ethan set additional traps behind them to slow the enemies. The factory exploded behind them, sending fire and smoke into the night sky. Alien soldiers were scattered, and the secret weapons supply was destroyed. The humans had struck a major blow. When they returned to the city, Corinthian leaders were waiting. They were shocked at the humans' success. "You have done what we could not," one said. "But how? Your methods are unlike anything we have seen." Luke smiled. "We do what we must. Humans fight differently, but we fight to survive, and we fight to protect others." Hannah added, "Sometimes being unpredictable is the best weapon. Rules don't always work when your enemy is clever and ruthless." Ethan grinned. "And humans are good at bending rules." Clara looked at the leaders. "You have hope now, protect it. That is the difference humans make. We fight not only for ourselves, but for everyone who cannot fight." The city celebrated their success, but the humans knew the battle was far from over. The alien coalition would return, and the Council's betrayal was a dangerous secret. Luke gathered the team. "We've done well, but the next fight will be bigger. We need to prepare." Hannah nodded. "I can strengthen our defenses and boost our technology, but it will take time." Ethan checked his traps and weapons. "And I can set more surprises. Let them learn not to underestimate humans." Clara focused, lifting energy from the ground to strengthen her telekinesis. "We have power, we have courage. We can protect the city and its people." Luke smiled, looking at his team. "Then we are ready. Humans don't wait for perfect plans, we make our own. And when we fight to win." The alien coalition would return. They would bring more soldiers, more weapons, more fire. But the humans had already shown the people of Corinthia that Earth did not send diplomats or soldiers. Earth sent monsters, and monsters from Earth were unstoppable. As the sun rose, the humans prepared for the next battle. They were tired, wounded, but alive. They had shown Corinthia that humans fought differently, and that difference could change the outcome of a war. Luke looked at his team. "We're not just here to fight. We're here to show the galaxy what humans are capable of, and they will never forget it." Hannah, Ethan, and Clara nodded. Together they had uncovered secrets, destroyed enemy supplies, and protected the city. Humans were monsters, yes, but monsters who fought with intelligence, courage, and heart. And Corinthia was beginning to see the true strength of Earth's monsters. The humans had fought and won battles before, but the final fight was coming. The alien coalition had regrouped, bringing more soldiers, larger weapons, and deadly machines. Luke Carson, Hannah Miller, Ethan Brooks, and Clara Young knew that this would be the toughest battle of their lives. Luke studied the city from a high rooftop. Smoke rose from the ruins, and the citizens were gathering, ready to help wherever they could. "They think numbers are everything," he said quietly, "but they've never faced humans like us. We don't fight like anyone else." Ethan checked his traps and explosives. "They'll come expecting rules. We'll give them chaos. That's how humans win." Hannah activated her implants, running final diagnostics on her devices. "I can disrupt their weapons and shields, but it will drain me fast. I need to time it perfectly." Clara focused, feeling the energy of the approaching enemy. "I can shield the city and the team." "But they'll push hard. We have to be ready for anything." As the alien fleet approached, Corinthia's citizens looked up in fear. Massive warships hovered in the sky, firing energy blasts at the city. The humans moved quickly, preparing defenses and setting traps. Luke gave orders with calm confidence, guiding Corinthian soldiers to positions where they could help without being exposed. The first wave of alien soldiers landed in the streets. Luke led a daring counterattack, jumping from building to building, firing at enemies before they could react. His movements were fast and unpredictable, confusing the aliens and giving humans and Corinthians a chance to strike. Ethan used traps to slow the enemy, luring soldiers into narrow streets and alleyways where they could be neutralized. He moved like a shadow, silent and deadly, striking when the aliens least expected it. Hannah activated her devices, sending pulses that disrupted the aliens' weapons and shields. Sparks flew, and many of their attacks failed, giving humans the upper hand. Her body ached, but she continued, knowing the city depended on her. Clara used her telekinesis to lift rubble, debris, and even parts of destroyed buildings, turning them into shields and weapons. She protected civilians and blocked alien attacks, her powers moving with precision and strength. The humans moved like a single unit, striking fast, protecting each other, and saving civilians wherever possible. The aliens were shocked. They had expected disciplined soldiers, but humans did not fight like anyone else. Humans were unpredictable, wild, and unstoppable. Luke spotted the alien commander moving toward the city's center. "That's our target," he said. "Take him out and the rest will fall apart." Ethan grinned. "Leave it to me, he won't know what hit him." Hannah continued to disrupt alien weapons, making sure their attacks were weaker and less coordinated. Clara raised debris to block the commander's guards, creating a path for Ethan to strike. Ethan moved like lightning, bypassing defenses and traps. He reached the commander, a large alien with glowing armor and a weapon bigger than most humans could lift. But Ethan didn't hesitate. He struck with speed and precision, disarming the alien and knocking him unconscious. Luke smiled. One less problem. The rest of the alien forces faltered, confused and uncoordinated. Humans and Corinthians pressed their advantage, striking quickly and decisively. The city fought back, inspired by the bravery and skill of the humans. Hannah's energy was almost gone, but she pushed herself, sending a final pulse that disabled the remaining alien shields. Clara used her telekinesis to lift and throw debris, stopping soldiers and machines from advancing. Luke led the charge, taking down remaining enemies with skill and bravery. Ethan moved through shadows, eliminating any threats that remained. The battle raged for hours, but humans did not falter. Their courage, creativity, and refusal to follow rules gave them the edge. The aliens were pushed back, forced to retreat as their command and control collapsed. Finally, the city was quiet. The alien forces had fled, leaving behind their weapons, machines, and broken soldiers. Civilians emerged from hiding, cheering, and celebrating. Humans had won. Earth's monsters had saved Corinthia. Luke looked at his team, bruised and tired but alive. "We did it," he said quietly. "We've won the city and we've shown the galaxy what humans are capable of." Hannah collapsed into a chair, exhausted. "It wasn't easy," she said. "But we did it, we actually did it." Ethan smiled, wiping sweat from his brow. "And we did it our way. Humans don't fight by rules, we fight to survive and to win." Clara looked at the civilians around them. "They needed hope, we gave it to them, that is what humans do. We protect, we fight, and we survive, that is why humans are different." The Corinthian leaders approached, their faces full of awe and respect. "You have saved us," one said. "We expected diplomats or soldiers, instead we received monsters." "But they are the best we could hope for," Luke nodded. "We fight for survival, and we fight for others when they cannot fight for themselves. That is what humans do." Hannah added, "Rules and order are useful, but sometimes they cannot save lives. Humans use what they have, think fast, and adapt. That is our strength." Ethan grinned. "And we don't give up. That's why humans always survive." Clara smiled faintly. "Humans are wild, unpredictable, and unstoppable. That is what the galaxy needs to understand." The city began rebuilding, guided by humans and Corinthians working together. Fires were put out, debris was cleared, and hope returned to the streets. Humans were no longer monsters to fear, they were saviors to admire. News spread across Corinthia and to nearby planets. The humans from Earth had arrived, fought like monsters, and won. The Galactic Council, which had doubted them, now watched in awe. Earth's monsters had not followed rules, but they had saved a world that many thought was lost. Luke, Hannah, Ethan, and Clara stood on a hill overlooking the city. "We've done more than fight," Luke said. "We've shown that humans are strong, smart, and unpredictable. That is how we win wars that others cannot." Hannah nodded. "And we've done it together." "Teamwork, courage, and creativity. That is what makes humans different," Ethan grinned. "And dangerous." Clara looked at the horizon. "They will remember us, and they will know that humans cannot be controlled, predicted, or defeated easily." As the sun rose, the humans prepared to leave Corinthia. Their mission was complete, but their legend had just begun. They had shown the galaxy that Earth did not send soldiers or diplomats when called for help. Earth sent monsters. Monsters who were clever, brave, and unstoppable. Luke looked at his team. "We're not just survivors, we're humans, and humans always adapt, fight, and win." Hannah, Ethan, and Clara nodded. Together, they had changed the course of a war, saved a world, and proven to the galaxy that humans were forces to be reckoned with. The alien coalition had been defeated. and the Galactic Council had learned a lesson they would never forget. Humans did not fight by the rules, but they always won. As the humans left Corinthia, civilians cheered, children waved, and the city rebuilt itself stronger than before. The humans had not only fought, they had inspired. They had shown that courage, ingenuity, and determination could overcome even the most powerful enemy. Luke looked back at the city one last time. "We'll be back if they need us. Humans never leave others to face danger alone. That is who we are." Hannah smiled faintly. "And we always fight in our own way. That is why we survive." Ethan laughed softly. "And we always win." Clara focused on the horizon, feeling the energy of the planet. "They will remember us. They will tell stories of Earth's monsters. And they will never underestimate humans again." The stars shone brightly above as the humans left Corinthia. They had arrived as monsters in the eyes of many, but they left as heroes. The galaxy had seen what Earth could do when humans were pushed to the edge. And humans had proved it. They were clever, brave, unstoppable, and above all, they were survivors. The legends of Luke, Hannah, Ethan, and Clara would spread across the galaxy. Other planets would call for help, and humans would come, not as diplomats, not as ordinary soldiers, but as monsters who fought with heart, courage, and unstoppable ingenuity. Corinthia was safe for now. The aliens were defeated. The Council had been shown the strength of humans, and the monsters from Earth had left a mark that would never be forgotten. Luke, Hannah, Ethan, and Clara flew into the stars, ready for the next call. They knew there would be more battles, more impossible odds, and more dangers. But they also knew one truth: humans do not follow rules. Humans survive. Humans fight. Humans win. And the galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again.